Lori, were you saying something?
I was just about to ask Tim a quick question. Hi, everybody. When we get to the ABC licenses, can you just make...
Sorry, ma'am. We are in live session
Starting?
right now.
Oh, very good.
Sorry, that we are ready to go, sir.
Okay, sounds good. All right, this is a conference meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair and is being broadcast live on Channel 34 and is streaming live on Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel. It is available on demand and can and will be rebroadcast. Everyone, please join me. Can and will be rebroadcast. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. Mayor Spiller,
Present.
Mayor Herlock,
Present.
Councilor Cummings,
Present.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Here.
Councilor Russo, Councilor Flager,
Here.
Councilor Yacobelis.
Thank you very much. First, we'll have the approval of the minutes that have been presented to the council, the minutes of July 1, 2020. Are there any corrections, modifications, or additions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to accept. It's been moved. I believe that was Councilman Cummings, I think.
Yeah.
Is there a second? Great. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much. Next, we do have a couple proclamations. The first proclamation is for Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Week, and I so move.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And this is a proclamation. I want to personally thank former councilman Harry Afric, who really has been such a proponent of making sure the message gets out about this devastating disease and what we can all do to help support those who have it, the families of those who have it, and really make sure we're working as hard as we can to develop a cure. So I will read this proclamation. It says, whereas mitochondria are specialized compartments present in every cell in the body of every cell of the body except red blood cells. Mitochondria are responsible for the creating more than 90% of the energy needed by the body to sustain life and support organ function. And whereas when mitochondria fail, less and less energy is generated within the cell. Cell injury and even cell death can follow. If this process is repeated throughout the body, whole organ systems begin to fail. And whereas, once considered rare, mitochondrial disease is now thought to affect 1 in 5,000 people, making it the second most commonly diagnosed serious genetic disease after cystic fibrosis. Although the disease primarily affects children, adult onset is becoming more common. Researchers have discovered links between mitochondrial dysfunction and other conditions, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, diabetes, cardiac issues, and some cancers. And whereas Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Week, observed annually during the third week of September, is commemorated globally to educate and increase awareness about mitochondrial disease. During this week, affected individuals, their families, friends, co-workers, fellow students join together to sponsor a variety of events to promote outreach and education about mitochondrial disease and the broader impact of mitochondrial dysfunction on human health. And whereas scientists believe that in focusing on mitochondrial dysfunction, they may be able to devise effective treatments and potential cures for mitochondrial disease and help the millions of people who suffer from these diseases. And whereas the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation is a member of the International Mito Patients, IMP, which is securing worldwide buildings and landmarks to be lit green, the international color for mitochondrial disease awareness. And whereas the green illumination of the memorial at Edgemont Park and the Montclair Municipal Building during the third week of September symbolizes the international efforts to cure mitochondrial disease. Now, therefore, the Mayor and the Town Council of the Township of Montclair do hereby declare September 13th, 2020 through September 19th, 2020 as Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Week in Montclair. as a time for people to come together and display the passion and strength of those working to improve the lives of those affected by this devastating disease. So again, I want to thank Councilman Afric for his efforts. And once again, we are happy to do all we can to make sure everyone is aware of this devastating disease. And thank you for that. We do have another proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Month, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there someone who would like to read this proclamation?
I'll be glad to read it.
Okay, Councilwoman Price Abrams.
National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas the annual U.S. observance paying tribute to Hispanic Americans for their contributions and influence on the history, culture, and achievements of the United States was initiated in 1968 by Congressman Edward Ross Roybal and Enrique Henry Barbosa Gonzalez. And whereas President Lyndon B. Johnson implemented the first national observance of Hispanic Heritage Week on Sunday, September 15th, 1968, the day of September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And whereas in 1988, Congressman Esteban Edward Torres proposed the one-week observance be expanded to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ending on October 15th, the expansion from Hispanic Heritage Week to Hispanic Heritage Month was enacted into law under President Ronald Reagan on August 17, 1988. And whereas each year we celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by exploring and celebrating the histories, cultures, and traditions of Americans with heritage rooted in Mexico, the Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean, Central and South America, and whereas America's Hispanic community has woven unique threads into the diverse fabric of our country and played an important role in shaping our national character as a people of limitless possibility from the earliest days of our nation's history. Hispanics have played a vital role in our country's development. The Hispanic influence can be felt everywhere from the names of our cities and states to the food we eat. And now, therefore, the mayor and council of the Township of Montclair hereby proclaim September 15th, 2020 through October 15th, 2020 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Montclair and acknowledge the contributions of all Hispanics who continue to enrich all aspects of the Montclair community.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Next is public comment. In an effort to minimize exposure to COVID-19 and to maintain safe social distancing practices, this council meeting and further council meetings until the pandemic is over will only be available to the public remotely. Those who wish to participate now during public comment should dial in to 408-418-9388. When asked to enter the passcode, please enter 173-952-4734, then press pound. When asked to enter an attendee number, please press pound. When asked to state your name, please state your name and then press pound. The administrator will say when it's the caller's turn to speak, and the caller will then hear 2 beeps. At that time, the caller will have an opportunity to make his or her comments. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. With that, I will open it up. Mr. Stafford, I think you're hosting. If you can please open it for public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Caller with the number beginning 201921, it is your turn to comment. Please make your comment. State your name for the record and keep your comment to 3 minutes. 201921.
Yes, this is Ava Felicidad of the Tenants Organization of Montclair Advocacy Group. I'm glad to be on the call tonight. I hope that you're all doing well and everyone out there who is listening or watching live. So I'm calling in just to make sure that you all know that we're here and we are still organizing and working towards the implementation of our rent control ordinance that was approved on April 7th of 2020. And thank you for your diligence in the movements with regards to the lawsuit that was filed against the township trying to stop our rent control ordinance, which we know will be implemented. We have great confidence in that. It's something that our community needs. And we have plenty of supporters with that. So all I really want to say is to make sure everyone knows to reach out to us and that we are continuing to, again, move forward so that we will have rent control implementation in Montclair very soon. So we are counting those days, and we just want everybody to know that this is important, that we care, whether we were in a pandemic or not, that we do care about our community and the skyrocketing rents, even though some of them are frozen. We know the moratorium exists right now, and that there are landlords and property owners who have still, during this time, been trying to increase rents for tenants while there's an existing moratorium, the rent freeze, so the freeze on the increases. And we are doing our best to address that when it comes up. And we ask that all community members do reach out so that we know that it's happening, so we can help them and remind them that their rent is not to be increased during this time period, and that we will continue on this journey for rent control implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your efforts as well. Thank you.
Next, caller with the number beginning 201874. 201874, it is your turn. Please state your name and keep your comment to under 3 minutes. Caller 201874. Oh, that person hung up. Caller number with the number starting 973820. 973820. It is your turn. Please state your name and keep your comment to under 3 minutes.
Hi, Tony Martin. Okay, so I'm the second caller who wants to speak about the rent control issues in our town. I work with AHAVA and have for more than a year, and so many other residents. The first thing I need to say is I'm not personally in the habit of praising or defending politicians, but I do feel compelled to comment on the fact that you, Mr. Mayor, and council members are being called nasty names by the Montclair Property Owners Association because you warned residents on your alert, our town alert system, that a violation of privacy was coming when they wrested our personal emails and text numbers from you via the court. In their recent statement, and consistently in their public remarks, the MPOA calls you, our town officials, autocratic and self-interested. The MPOA, specifically their chief spokesman, Mr. Simon Sini, who resides in Ridgewood and whose public relations business is based in Secaucus, also call you out for operating in secrecy and outside the bounds of democracy. Pardon my French, but sheesh. In a year, we spent working with the tenants organization of Montclair trying to get you to listen to our renter concerns and act on creation of a historic rent stabilization ordinance. We hardly found you autocratic. No pushovers, certainly. We had to work very, very hard, do our research, present significant human and statistical data to persuade you to act. As for you being self-interested, you are our elected representatives. You, who were on the council during the debate about adopting the ordinance, responded to the interests of your constituents. On the other hand, the property owners who formed under Mr. Simoncini's practice technique, just as you are about to vote, can only be described as self-interested. Mr. Simoncini's first words to the council when he called in, by the way, I wrote them down. It is totally our bad, he said. But can you believe it? Let's see now. I read my writing. But can you believe that not one of those who have chosen to join our organization were aware that rent control was being considered? Engaged citizens, those who read the papers and follow town council meetings and join in public discussion whenever they can do so, are aware, we're aware. I fear now that the landlords continue to be unaware of anything that is not in their self-interest. As Ahava mentioned, we continue to have questions coming in from tenants who've been charged rent increases during the period of the rent freeze, which, to repeat, extends through December 31 by your order. Now to my question. When we receive comments or complaints from renters about rent increases in violation of the freeze, we send them to the landlord-tenant committee. But I remember the question being asked during the debate: how will these violations be enforced, seeing as the rent control ordinance is on hold, and so we don't have a rent stabilization board. And it was suggested that a summons might be issued to landlords. Honestly, I'm not sure if that's been put in place, that enforcement mechanism. And I ask you if you can tell me that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tony. And
Thank
first,
you, Ms. Martin.
I'd say first, thank you for all your efforts, as you noted, for a year, making sure we were very educated on the issue of rent control, all the reasons why it was so important, and your efforts do not go unnoticed for sure, and everyone else involved. So thank you. Specific to your question at the end there, in the instances where you are hearing or anyone is hearing of a violation of any of our ordinances, that one specifically on the rent increase, remember there are two separate ordinances. We have an ordinance regarding rent control. That is the one that the Property Owners Association are trying to battle to repeal and eliminate rent control. There is a second ordinance which is passed. That ordinance has a rent freeze, which is in effect right now. So if you or anyone else hears of anyone who's in violation of that ordinance, they absolutely should contact Mr. Stafford, who's here on a daily basis, or Mr. Karasik, our township attorney. They immediately reach out to that landlord. And at least in my last conversation with Mr. Karasik, landlords then have been very quick to comply. But certainly I will let Mr. Stafford and Mr. Karasik expand more upon that as needed. And thank you again.
Did you want me to say anything, Mayor? I wasn't. I was just going to say that we seem to get a lot of cooperation from landlords, at least after landlords contact us or tenants contact us, and we speak to the landlord. They seem to be cooperative. I don't know if that's not the case. If landlords are not cooperating, please let us know. But in the end, the enforcement would be in the Superior Court. But we haven't come to that yet, and hopefully we won't. As I say, hopefully we'll be getting compliance, which is what I've heard so far. So if that's not the case, please let us know. You don't have to let us know now, but call my office, okay?
Caller with the number beginning 973-886. It is your turn, 973-886. Please state your name and keep your comments under 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Betsy Tessler. I'll be the third person speaking about the rent control issue, it sounds like. I really just wanted to echo what Ahava and Tony have just stated. I'm a Montclair homeowner. I've owned a home for 20 years in Montclair. It's the first and only home that I've owned. I was a renter for all the rest of my adult life prior to that. And I really just wanted to say that in addition, or along with all of the wonderful work that the Tenants Organization of Montclair has been doing, there is a whole group of homeowners who've been just kind of waiting to be able to get involved in a support kind of capacity. So that's pretty much just what I wanted to say. I want to really echo what they said and thank you all for continuing to keep a focus on getting this ordinance in place.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your willingness to be engaged on this issue and certainly be there to help fight for and maintain rent control. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Betsy.
Caller with the number starting 201874. 201874. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Louisa Hackett, and I too am also here to talk about rent control. I am a longtime homeowner in Montclair, about 20 years, over 20 years. And I recently joined TOOM because I was first very excited to learn that Montclair had passed a rent control law, and then I was appalled to see that it was being challenged in court. So I think it is a critical tool to keep Montclair affordable so that individuals and families of various income levels are able to afford to live in town. And I want to thank the town council for passing the ordinance in the first place, and also thank you for all the work you're doing in dealing with the legal challenges. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Caller with the number starting 973747. 973747. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and keep your comment to 3 minutes.
Yes, this is William Scott, the co-chair of the Montclair Housing Commission and also the chair of the NAACP Housing Committee. I also want to continue to thank you for the support for the rent control ordinance as well as the rent control freeze. As you know, the NAACP and the Housing Commission of Montclair have been involved with the tenants organization from the outset of moving the rent control ordinance forward. And also, I would like folks to understand, I'm also a landlord for 40 years in the township of Montclair, and I was one of the opponents that supported the rent control freeze from the outset. So being a property owner and a landlord, really getting behind this, because helping people understand that the need for rent control in the township has always been an issue for the last 40 years. High level of gentrification had gone unchecked in this town for too many years. And I think the council took the right step in trying to stabilize the rents moving forward. So we're still in this fight. We understand the property owners of Association of Montclair has put a lot of misleading information out in the airways, but we will continue to provide factual information moving forward on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mayor, there appears to be nobody else in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford, and thank you also, Mr. Scott, for your efforts and for your continued efforts on this front. Wanted to note that as well. Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. First, we have, we have two new business resolutions, which we will move to. The first one is Resolution R20-142. It's a resolution authorizing the renewal of alcohol beverage consumption license, and I so move.
Second.
Mr. Stafford, would you please speak to that a little more?
Mayor, on items A and B, I would defer to Ms. Lee because these items emanate from the clerk's office as a matter of normal course.
Sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to report that the proper license fees have been deposited for the 25 applicants. The police department has investigated each applicant, and the premises concerned has been reported that it approves all renewal applications. The report of the fire department indicates that the premises of all applicants have been investigated and all locations have passed inspections for the ABC license renewal. The health department has made the required inspections, has approved the respective applications, and the Planning and Zoning have reviewed each of the addresses of the ABC license holders and found that each is located in an appropriate district where the existing use is a permitted principal use.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mhm.
Questions, comments, concerns from my colleagues?
Can I ask the clerk a question, Mayor?
Sure, Councilman Russo?
Oh, you just arrived?
Julie,
Okay. Yes.
Julie, just for clarification for me, and I guess maybe any others who want to know when it says inactive, that means that so it's a couple of categories. Just explain inactive, pocket, and no location cited.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, inactive licenses or pocket licenses is a license that is not being actively used. It may still cover a licensed location, or it may not have any approved license premises. The municipal issuing authority or board may renew for 2 full license terms after the date it became inactive. At the expiration of the 2-year period, a special ruling of the director is necessary before the governing body can renew the inactive license.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir, any other questions, comments, concerns?
If I may, Mayor. So,
Councilwoman?
Madam Clerk, so just so I understand, the one that I was aware is a closed facility is Trumpets. So I know that that's noted that no inspection was done because of them being, so that falls into this exception you were just describing of this.
Yes,
The license can be owned separately from the venue.
yes.
In fact, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councillor Cummings,
Yes. Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councillor Russo,
Yes.
Councillor Schlager,
Yes.
Councillor Yakabellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The second item, Resolution R 20-143, is a resolution authorizing the renewal of alcohol beverage distribution licenses, and I so move.
Second?
Any questions, concerns, comments on this item? Okay, I think Madam Clerk, you did a great job explaining it. Would you like to officially state for the record, Madam Clerk, that this is also free of any issues?
Absolutely. These licenses are also that have been investigated by the police department, the fire department, health department, and planning and zoning, and all has been approved as being in order.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
sure. Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Russo,
Yes.
Councilor Schlager,
Yes.
Councilor Yakabellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next, we have a bill list. Councilwoman Schlager, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amount set out in their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair in the County of Essex that said invoices be and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on the computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated September 15th, the year 2020, for $2,806,079.97.
Second?
Questions, concerns, comments on the bill list? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councilor Russo,
Yes.
Councilor Schlager,
Yes.
Councilor Yakabellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next, we have discussion items, which we'll look at our next meeting. So, Mr. Stafford, would you please start going through the list and explain each of the items? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding item number 1, applicants for development projects are required to deposit funds in escrow. The projects listed on Schedule A have been determined to be substantially complete, have been denied, or have been withdrawn, and all relevant fees have been satisfied. Accordingly, there appears to be no further basis to retain the escrow deposits listed thereon. This resolution would authorize their release and would direct our Chief Financial Officer to issue checks for same to the applicable developers. Items 2 through 5 inclusive would be resolutions that would authorize the placement of municipal liens on certain and specific properties in town. More particularly, these liens are the result of the township's effort to manage vacant properties. Each consists of the actual cost of a contractor to perform work at a specific property, a charge for the township's special counsel to prepare the lien, and an administrative fee to cover the township's work in handling the matter. Each resolution has attached to it a certification regarding the work done and the lien specifics. There are 4 liens, and they total $6,570. Regarding item 6, an initial hazard classification study of the Yantakal Brook Park Dam required by the State Department of Environmental Protection Division of Dam Safety was submitted to the division in January of 2020. This study was completed and submitted on behalf of the township by GZA Geo Environmental Incorporated. And based upon the results of that study and pursuant to DEP compliance requirements, a request for proposals for the listed professional engineering services was issued by the township. On July 29, 9 proposals were received and analyzed. Based upon that analysis, recommendation is made to, and the resolution in item 6 would authorize the award of a professional services agreement in an amount not to exceed $36,285 to the lowest responsive submitter, GZA Geo Environmental Incorporated. Item number 7 is a grant insertion, and its resolution would serve as the township's request to the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, Director of the Division of Local Government Services, to approve the insertion of the grant in the referenced amount as an item of revenue in the township's 2020 budget and as an appropriation in the same amount. This grant does not have a local match requirement. Lastly, for me this evening, Mayor, recently the Housing Commission, given its concern that very low income households face numerous obstacles to securing housing, including limited funding available for first month's rent, for a security deposit, for various fees associated with the rental process, and for moving expenses, asked that the township amend its rental assistance program to provide more assistance. Having considered the issue, the Economic Development Committee recommended that the applicable ordinance be amended as seen in item number 8. This amendment would extend the assistance from 1 month's rent to 3 months' rent to provide sufficient funds to cover the aforementioned costs. Funding for this program will continue to be provided from the township's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Again, Mayor, that's all I have this evening. Although I will mention at this moment that we do have an executive session for a personnel issue.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And I'll just note as a member of the Economic Development Committee, we'll just note to my colleagues too that there's some issues around putting out the security deposit, which then gets refunded, which is why it was a cleaner process to do more rent, which is why the recommendation is 3 months rent, just so you know. And again, we'll look at that issue at the next meeting. Okay. We do have an executive session. before we enter into that executive session. However, I know we have a lot going on, certainly, Madam Clerk, with elections and otherwise, so I do want to go around and just give Madam Clerk, attorney, others the opportunity to speak now. We, of course, may come out of executive session and take action as always, but we don't know at what time that would be. So with that right now, I guess I'll start with you, Madam Clerk. Is there anything you would like to say tonight?
What do you mean? Regarding a specific item or just something that I want to say? Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry.
If you have anything to report out tonight, if not.
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
I would just like to encourage anyone who has not yet registered to please remember to register to vote. The mail-in registration deadline is Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. The clerk's office will be open until 9:00 p.m. on October 13th for late night voter registration. Please stop by and register, or you can place your completed voter registration form in the mail slot located in the front of the municipal building before 9:00 p.m. Thank you.
Sure. I kind of figured you might have something to say about voter registration. So there you are. Thank you. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Mr. Stafford, anything at this time?
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor. Thank you, though.
Thank you very much. Mr. Scantlebury? I'm not hearing anything. Mr. Scantlebury, I'm not sure if you're muted, but I'll take that as a no. Mr. Karasik?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, Mayor.
Please.
First, there were some items which, unfortunately, basically due to the press of things, weren't on tonight's agenda that I'd like to send out to the council before the end of the week for consideration at the following meeting, coming from a few different departments. I'll just tell you what they are, but you'll get paperwork, memo, and paperwork. And if the council's willing to consider them for action at the next meeting, fine. Or if they feel that they want to put them on to the following meeting, that's okay too. But I do think we need to do this. First, from finance, you did, all council members received the audit and a document which you had to sign with respect to the audit, which is required by law. We need to do a resolution essentially from the council regarding the audit. And that resolution was sent down by finance, but it was too late to be put on this agenda. So you'll be getting that and hopefully be able to act on that next week.
That's pretty straightforward. And so, yes, Mr. Stafford, please make sure that's on. Of course, financial, yes.
We have a contract on the tax assessment side for our appraiser and taxes, the person that does the outside valuations for tax assessments. And we'll have to extend that contract in order to pay the person. But so I will send you the details on that. And again, you can add. I have, let's see. There are a couple of parking issues which have come up sort of as, I wouldn't say emergencies, but have come up as a result of the shifting around of the South Fulton, the reconfiguration there. And Lieutenant Ignazzo asked me to raise those with the council as well. I'll give you that in writing, as I said, before the end of this week, and you can see those. With respect, and Gary had one or two things also these were small, but I wanted you to know because we are trying to keep and Mr. Stafford's really trying mightily to keep the schedule so that the council does have everything, at least at the meeting before the meeting that they vote on. So we would like to keep that. The other thing is with respect to the litigation that's been going on. I mean, you've heard about the rent control. There was a challenge to the vote counting in the election. That challenge and Deputy Clerk Juliette Lee was one of the defendants. The judge dismissed Ms. Lee as a defendant, essentially dismissed the township as a defendant, and then subsequently, a few days later, dismissed the case altogether. So there is no more, at least active litigation. with respect to the May 12th election. And I'm sure you've heard that, but that's a formal notice of that effect. Anyway, I think that's all I have right now for you. And so.
Thank you, sir. So I figure out my unmute button. Moving across, do I have any council comments at this time? Let's start with, I guess, first, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real briefly, I had the pleasure of attending the Upper Montclair Business Association, as I know many of us did, a sidewalk sale this last Saturday. Despite all of the issues that we're facing as a community, I want to thank my council colleagues for the support that we put that together. And I know some of us have been on conference calls with business leaders now for many months. It was a tremendous success. I know a lot of the business owners greatly appreciated our efforts. We had supplied officers from not only the Montclair Police Department, but Essex County Sheriff's Department had closed the Valley Road between Bellevue Avenue and Lorraine Avenue, and had also supplied sheriff's deputies for us as well. And it was, again, a great event, and it's just one more way of us as a council basically helping our business communities as we struggle through this pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to note, Deputy Mayor, I know you've been a strong advocate for that. So I know, and been on many of those calls too, to get that to happen. And another example of how we're really all trying to work to support businesses where we can, support residents, of course, and do all we can. So kudos for your efforts there. Moving next to Councilwoman Schlager.
For now, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Price Abrams.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one further clarification about the November election, and perhaps the clerk can just advise. Is there a place in our town, or where is the closest place that the county drop-off boxes, if people choose not to put their ballots that have been received into the U.S. Postal Service mailboxes? Don't we have one in this town? I just wondered.
There is a box right outside of our municipal building, adjacent to the front door. You can't miss it. It's labeled extensively. I would just ask folks and urge folks to read it carefully, because it's not too far from the United States Post Office box. So you don't want to, either way it'll get there, but the county's box is to the right of the front door of the municipal building.
Thank you. And I just, of course, want the public to understand that that is a way of, and not that we have any observed concerns about the U.S. Postal Service locally, but to the extent that you want it to be a direct path to the people who need to count it, your ballot, you can sort of avoid the whole U.S. mail process by using those boxes.
Yes.
Thank you for that collaboration.
Madam Clerk, I think unless it's changed, you told me that there would also be a box at each polling place in which people could bring their, is that still true?
That has not been confirmed yet.
Oh, it hasn't been confirmed.
Still waiting for the county to get back to me.
Just a note on that one. You're right, and you're kind of right in that, Mr. Krasik, yes, I did hear today from the county clerk, there will be one at each polling location. However, people shouldn't be confused. Not all the normal polling locations will be polling locations per executive order. So I don't want people to think, oh, where you normally go vote, those would be a box and you can go do it there. That is not the case. Because of social distancing, because of all the efforts, and because it is primarily a vote by mail, they're reducing the number of polling locations, and because of safety, the ones that they can appropriately follow social distancing, et cetera. So don't assume that your normal polling location would be your polling location should you choose to go to the polling location to either vote in person or to drop it in one of the boxes, which will be at the polling station. But again, it might not be your normal polling station. So want to note that as well.
Very important clarification. Thanks.
Okay, I didn't get.
I do appreciate if we might be able to, through our township channels of communication, to make sure that people know these are the options available. Just that would be something that we would help promote.
Yes, and one last piece, Councilwoman, in that our county clerk is also working to ensure that on the county website, you would be able to just go type in your name and get a confirmation that your ballot has already been received by the county. So there's another layer there should you choose to check it on the county website.
Thanks. And I agree that all of these mechanisms, should help ensure people's confidence in the election process. There's just so much conversation that has, I'm not sure how much it affects this community, but as a general matter, I think the more clarity we can bring is to the good. So I thank everybody involved. That's it for now.
Councilman Cummings?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things I'd like to alert the public to who are watching. Working with a couple of people I've met, we're gonna have a job fair. Amazon is having an on-site job fair on the 21st of October at the Wally Choice Community Center in Glenfield Park. They will be hiring directly for deliveries as well as packaging locations, part and full-time jobs. And then the following week, October 1st, they're going to have some COVID testing done at the Park House. Group out of Orange has been doing this a couple of places around town. Met one of the guys. He said, hey, would you be interested in Montclair? It's coming tomorrow to review the location, determine social distancing, as well as starting a registration process. So we have some numbers. So that's something that residents should be looking forward to. And then I'd like to invite the entire council to a ribbon cutting ceremony at Amin's Corner. It's a new place in the 4th Ward on Orange, corner of Orange Road and Cedar Avenue in the South End. Store just opened up. It's a nice addition to the area, and everybody's invited. It's going to be Saturday at 2:30 p.m. if your schedule permits. That's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Russo? Councilman Russo? This is the point for an appropriate joke about how we know Councilman Russo has something to say, but I will hold off kind of on that one. Councilman Russo? We must have, I see his thing there, so I think he's having some technical difficulties maybe. Councilman Yacobelis, would you please go and then we'll come back to Councilman Russo if he can hear that?
Yeah, sure. Just a couple of quick comments. So first, I just want to recognize our school officials and those of you on the Education Committee and on the Board of School Estimates for all the work in getting virtual learning for the year up and running. I've talked to a bunch of school officials in the last couple of weeks and parents, and there's obviously a lot going on, a lot of juggling. So hats off and kudos to everyone, our frontline workers in many cases right now. Also want to just acknowledge all the work my colleagues have done just in terms of supporting small businesses in town. We know some businesses are closing, but we're actually seeing some businesses open almost immediately in their place. And I think, overall, the community feels, especially through the Love Our Montclair campaign and the other actions we've taken to close streets, and as the Deputy Mayor mentioned, the street fair and things that will hopefully happen in the South End as well. It's a lot to support businesses. So I just want to encourage the public to continue to go online on social media and share what you love about our Montclair. It's businesses, small businesses, restaurants, and shops using hashtag Love Our Montclair. It's doing pretty well, so help keep it trending. And lastly, I just want to mention that I am trying to raise awareness and funds for the Human Needs Food Pantry. They've added 850 additional families to their support roster since the pandemic has started. So they are in need of support. So just encourage them to, in addition to Tony's Kitchen, all the other wonderful places we have in town, we do have a food pantry that specifically serves families and children in need. That is a Human Needs Food Pantry, and would encourage folks to go online and contribute to them if they could afford to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I believe we've got Councilman Russo back with this technical issue solved. Councilman Russo?
Is the issue solved? Because from my end, I'm not seeing, but
it is. We've got audio and video. Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to touch on the Hispanic Heritage Month.
resolution again, proclamation, Mayor, because Marcia Almeida has been pushing for this for quite a while. I want to thank Marcia publicly. Ms. Almeida has Dominican background. She just reminded me, which ties into what Councilor Hurlock was saying. We went to the wonderful new Dominican chocolate place that Mayor Jackson and I helped open last year. We were there at the opening, and we visited there Saturday right after the sidewalk sale closed down at Valley Road. So Councilman Hurlock did a great job on that. We enjoyed it. Christine and I shopped all over. And then we wound up at Vesta, which I highly recommend to everyone as a family-owned business by a Dominican family, and that ties in with Hispanic Heritage Month. Just want to make it clear again that I have relatives in Puerto Rico since my aunt married Juan Oliver about 75 years ago, and I've been down there every year to visit my relatives, but not the last couple of years since the terrible hurricanes and earthquakes. And just say prayer for Puerto Rico, a great part of our country. People don't seem to understand the status here, but Puerto Ricans are citizens of the United States, been highly neglected by our national government. I hope everyone will try to support them in recovering from the last tragic hurricanes and earthquakes. And thank you again to Marcia for this, and thanks to Councilman Hurlock and everyone else who helped make the sidewalk sale, all the businesses we visited, the restaurants we ate at, thought it was a great idea. So I hope we can continue to do that in the first ward. And let's keep working together, first ward, fourth ward, the entire town, to make a recovery, as the mayor's been urging us, a recovery from this terrible pandemic, which has made it hard for us to do a lot of the things we want to do. Seniors, you know, everyone's got interests that we want to address, and I certainly want to do that going on my 73rd year next month. But this pandemic has made it hard for us to do a lot of what we tried to do, and I hope that everybody understands also that we're fighting very hard to protect their interests. When some folks do the things they've done on rent control, it's not our fault that this has happened, and we're fighting it. And if everybody would just understand what the rent control ordinance does, it helps make Montclair more affordable for our most vulnerable seniors and families that don't have a lot of resources and can't be pushed out by high rents that have no cap upon them. That's all this rent control does, put a cap and give us the chance to maintain our diversity. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those comments. And I will just briefly also note, as you finished, with the importance of everybody coming together to protect the rent control ordinance that we have here in Montclair. It is a fair and balanced one, and certainly one, as you just noted, Councilman, that really helps to protect the diversity that we all hold so dear here in town. So one of those all hands on deck, and we hope everyone can come out, be supportive in any way they can, and make sure we protect this ordinance. I also just wanted to quickly add to all the comments that my council colleagues have noted, just to reiterate something that I found very interesting in that we all saw last week with Montclair maintaining its AAA bond rating. We saw the news on that front because of the great efforts of this council, previous council, certainly, our financial team, et cetera, and the decisions that we've had to make, sometimes tough decisions that we've had to make, but maintaining that bond rating, saving just from not slipping even a little bit, saving about $200,000 a year just on interest in that regard alone. But also giving us flexibility and opportunities to come through this crisis as we continue to see the devastation, yes, in terms of the human toll, but also in terms of the economy. So important stuff. But one of the things that I found somewhat interesting in all of the conversation was in the assessments that the credit agencies do when they look at you. One of the things that they rated Montclair very highly on was our efforts to continuously push and maintain our position as a leader on the environment. They gave us strong marks for management around pushing forward for an energy aggregation program, which I know my council members who have served for a while all remember, and probably those of you who are new as well and know that we put forward an energy aggregation program here in Montclair that has saved residents almost $800,000 in the last cycle of the program. It's about to finish up, and we'll be seeing what the future holds on that front. But in addition to saving dollars, in addition to being greener than anywhere else, I thought it really interesting. The credit agencies looked at that and said that's another reason why you maintain your highest rating available. So just goes to show how it all ties together, and all the things that help really make Montclair special are so important as part of that fabric. So kudos to all my council colleagues and Mr. Stafford, to everyone on staff for the work to make sure we maintain that. So I wanted to note that as well. And with that, I will move resolution R20-144, which is a resolution authorizing executive session without the public being permitted to attend in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12B, with the topic being personnel. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll take a moment and move into executive session.